right, the 2026 FIFA World Cup is giving us some couple of vibes, and one game that we need to take a close look at is the reclash of a meeting that happened some 28 years ago, as Brazil, one of the overwhelming favorites for this World Cup, are meeting old foes Mexico. Destiny beckons as the two sides are meeting for the first time in the World Cup in the 21st century. The last time when Norway appeared at the World Cup, they met, and that was a group encounter, probably the last group game when the Norwegians had a 1-0 win over the Brazilians, even though the Brazilians have already won the group, and then, of course, they were marching on to the round of 16. This time around, those two sides are meeting in the round of 16 as Brazil meets Norway in the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This is probably a face-to-face game between Erling Haaland and, of course, Vinicius Jr. I mean, we've seen them some couple of times struggling it off with their club side, with Vinicius Jr. for Real Madrid, and, of course, Erling Haaland for Manchester City for some couple of recent years. They take that rivalry to international football as those two sides meet in the 2026 FIFA World Cup round of 16. The last time the World Cup quarterfinals did not see Brazil was way back 1990. How many years ago? Almost 36. So that was the last time the Brazilians were eliminated at this stage, which was the round of 16. And against Norway, who are making it to the World Cup since 1998. And of course, they've got some couple of tremendous talents who have all failed to take them to the World Cup. But this current generation of guys, I mean, including the likes of Erling Brot Haaland, Martin Odegaard, Alexander Charlotte, Antonio Nusa, Sander Berger, Patrick Berg, the likes of Julian Reasin, goalkeeper Nyland, Frederick Orsins, Hegem, and of course, you can talk about the likes of Pedersen. All these guys have managed to ensure, under coach Steel Soberken, have made sure that the Norwegian team makes a return on the global stage since 1998. Interestingly, against Brazil, and these are all sides who have managed well within their group, Brazil stands as the team that only couldn't win in their first group encounter when they drew 1-0 against Morocco. But the subsequent games, it was brutal. They won by 3-0 against Haiti, 3-0 against Scotland, even though they needed to come from behind to beat Japan by 2-1, which was a game that the Brazilians really struggled. But Coach Ancelotti came with different ideas, bringing on Hendrick, changed his tactics to 4-2-4, which made sure that they put a lot of moment forward, how he used to be doing for Real Madrid. And of course, that experience paid off for the Brazilians as Gabriel Martinelli scored the 95th minute match winner for the Seleção of Brazil to book their spot into the round of 16. For Norway, they started well in the first group game, beating Iraq by 4-1. I mean, even though a tough one against the Teranga Lions of Senegal, but they came in high-flying colors, winning by 3-2, as both games saw Erling Haaland having a brace against Iraq, brace against Senegal. But unfortunately, in the game against the French national team, they decided to change the first 11. Of course, they suffered a 4-1 defeat. But in the last encounter, which was the round of 32 game, against an African opposition in the shape of the Les Éléphants de la Côte d'Ivoire, the Norwegian team triumph. For me, what I like is that their pool celebration how it used to be. So they've completely gave us some couple of fun culture to remember in the 2026 FIFA World Cup. So now, match preview: Norway against Brazil, or Brazil against Norway. How the battles will be won and lost. For Norway, what has been affecting them in this World Cup is they've been conceding in all the games. And the problem is, will you concede and, of course, not able to score? It becomes a problem. In as much as they've been conceding, they've been scoring. The only game that they couldn't score more than one goal was the game against the French national team, of which they lost by 4-1 when Ousmane Dembele pulled off a hat-trick. But the Brazilians have also been conceding, but they conceded only in 2 of the games. That was the 1-1 drawn game against Morocco, and of course the 2-1 win against the Japanese in the round of 32. They made sure they kept a clean sheet in the game against Scotland and Haiti. This is where Norway have to be very, very careful of Brazil. For Brazil, some couple of injuries. Rafinha has been ruled out of the competition. And of course, Casemiro is still struggling with injury. Lucas Paqueta might not get starting lineup. Maybe Danilo Santos might take his place because of injury, which will be quite affecting the Brazilian setup. Coach Carlo Ancelotti has a whole lot of experience. He's seen it all. I mean, 4 Champions League titles. I mean, with different league titles in England, in Spain, in Italy, what again? In Germany, he has done it all. In France, so he doesn't need any experience for you to show him to. And he has a very good backline. Of course, Danilo, when he introduced after the first game against Morocco, has maintained his composure, and then that one has been quite well for the backline of the Brazilians. Of course, Gabriel Magalhaes and Captain Marquinhos have been manning up the midfield. Bruno Guimaraes have been my unsung hero for the Brazilians in this World Cup. Even though you might not say like he's been scoring for the Brazilians how he used to score for his club Newcastle, but he's gave some couple of brilliant flashes of performance. Lucas Paqueta is yet to be seen, but Vini Jr. has really carried the Brazilian team through in this competition. The only game that he failed to score was the 2-1 win against Japan. We've seen Vini Jr. scoring in 8 of the games before the round of 16, scoring against Morocco, scoring against Scotland, scoring against Haiti. I know a lot of Brazilians used to criticize Vini Jr. for his sluggish performance in the colors or yellow colors or blue colors of the Seleção, but he used to give tremendous performance for Real Madrid. But I think this competition has been different. And imagine if they had Rodrigo Goes. I mean, the Brazilian setup could have been quite on a different margin. But I think the Bournemouth winger Ryan, after being given the opportunity, has also showcased his talent, and I think these are the positives that the Brazilian can take off. For Norway, Julian Reyersson is quite not well since his injury in the game against Senegal. He's been pulled off to the bench, and of course Pedersen has taken his position, and Mario Wolf of Wolverhampton has been very tremendous with his performance with regards to how he's been playing so well for the Norwegian national team in this World Cup. The likes of Hegim and you can talk about the likes of Christoph Aja, the Brentford defender, have been quite well for Frederick Orsens deep in midfield, Sander Berge of Fulham, and of course Martin Odegaard, Antonio Nusa on the left, Alexander Charlotte on the right, and of course the big man himself, Erling Haaland. This is where the game is going to be very, very crucial. I mean, the battle to win the midfield will be key. With Casemiro, Bruno Guimaraes, they must try as much as possible to outwit the midfield three of the Norwegians. This is where you need to set up your team to make sure you win the midfield battle. And the attacking force, Erling Braut Haaland was not quite seen in the game in that 2-1 win against Ivory Coast. He was quiet within the game. I didn't see much of him, even though he scored, but I didn't see much of him. And I think this is where the Brazilians need to keep a close tab on. Marquinhos struggled with big men in terms of how Erling Haaland is quite well built. So this is where Marquinhos need to wake up his mettle to make up. He mounted a very strong challenge on Erling Haaland. For Vini Jr. He's been provided masterclass performance in this competition, and I think the Norwegians will struggle to deal with the pace and the skillful nature of Vini Jr. It's a tough one. The Brazilians have never beaten Norway before. One defeat for them, and of course some couple of draws in international friendlies that they played. But this comes up as the second game or the second encounter in the history of the World Cup between these two sides. It's a very cagey one, close one, but the Norwegians have been conceding. This is where I tip the Brazilians to have a little edge over the Norwegians in the round of 16 game. And of course, a win for Brazilian or any of them, either Norway or Brazil, will mean one of them will be picking their ticket into the quarterfinals of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Mind you, the last time Brazil failed to make it into the quarterfinal of the World Cup was way back 1990 when they were eliminated by eventual runners-up Argentina. Will the Norwegians be able to do so? Your guess is good as mine. It's a difficult one, but I tip Brazil to go through. I tip Brazil to win by 2-1 against Norway and book their spots into the quarterfinal of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And this has been a region or zone that has seen Southern American teams winning the competition. And of course, in some couple of videos that I did some times back, I talk about the fact that whenever the World Cup is being played around the northern part of American continent, teams from Southern America wins it. We saw Brazil winning in Mexico 1970. We saw Argentina winning in 1986 in Mexico. And of course, we saw the Brazilian team winning in US in 1994. And of course, from the quarterfinal to the final, all the games will be coming on the soil of the United States. And the last time when the tournament was staged in the United States, the Brazilians won. So this is where I think the Brazilians will be confident of their chances as they set up a clash at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey tonight against Norway in the 2026 FIFA World Cup round of 16 encounter. This has been the podcast channel with our. Thank you.